Man 24 patch notes, always an exciting time when the game changes, and especially as we get closer and closer to, the dead season of Madden, which is really post-draft. These updates are going to become more and more infrequent. So we'll see what they do here. January 10th update. Probably won't see another update for about 30 to 45 days. So let's see. Hey, Madden fans, welcome back to Gridiron Notes. Gridiron Notes are a place in where you will receive updates directly from our development team about what is included in the latest title update. All right, I'm gonna zoom in slightly for you boys. Let's actually put my face cam up here. Boom. That would make things a little bit easier. Boom, boom. All right. Immediately, we jump right into gameplay gridiron notes. Gameplay. We fixed an issue preventing defenders equipped with edge threat from using non-engaged pass rush moves, and they actually added an extra dev note here. We have adjusted the tolerances for non-engaged pass rush moves to trigger more. This fix will allow pass rushers to use pass rush moves that trigger before they get engaged by a blocker. Essentially, is saying that I believe what this is saying. Um, from this part right here, this fix will allow pass rushers to use pass rush moves that trigger before they get engaged to a blocker. Is potentially we will see people with edge threat and other defensive line abilities actually initiate their win, whether that be a swim or a club or whatever. They'll initiate this before they get locked into the kind of hand fighting that happens. So we may see more insta wins, more edge threats, and more kind of defensive line abilities become popular here. As before, they'd get engaged into hand fighting and then shed. And now believe it's saying that they will potentially shed before ever engaging in actual hand fighting. So kind of like a super win. That's what that sounds like. This next note's pretty good. There's been an issue, I feel like, for a couple Maddens now, where they say we fixed an issue with the conductor ability that was not granting the user two adjustments as the QB is walking to the line. A lot of people don't talk about this, but the conductor ability has been bugged, I want to say, for a few Maddens now, at least the entirety of this one, where you should get an extra hot route when you are using conductor, and we haven't been able to. So now, what this allows you to do is to quick snap faster, to be able to quick snap more plays. In the past, up until now, with conductor, there was no way to make more than one hot route before your QB would get sucked into like quarterback innovations where he's doing this, that, and the other. Now it appears that with conductor, he can make two hot routes before doing that. So quick snapping may be on a little bit of a comeback. Although they really did nerf quick snapping from the beginning of the year. That was insane. I wouldn't hate it going back to that just because I think it's kind of funny, but nonetheless. And then we have this change right here, which this is a big deal. And I kind of want to deep dive a little bit into what this potentially could mean. Now, it is, of course, I would be doing a disservice if I said everything in these notes is always 100% true. A lot of things are general guidelines for what they've touched. And typically in Madden, we will see a lot of things change that aren't in Gridiron notes. So keep that in mind. Just a little tidbit. But tuning to fatigue logic. So defenders who are not dedicated pass rushers will suffer a more severe fatigue penalty when engaging with a pass blocker that is significantly bigger than them. Essentially, they're saying with the prevalence of defensive back blitzes being used as a staple in defenses, there were a lot of cases where a DB would be blitzing, get picked up by a tackle, and then shed them over and over again without fatiguing. Now, if a defender who is not a dedicated pass rusher having a power move and finesse move below 70 engages in a blocking mismatch where they're outweighed by 90 pounds or more, they will suffer a significant fatigue hit. So, what this is saying is if you have a slot DB who's 175 pounds blitzing off that edge and he gets lined up and hits a tackle, and that slot CB does not have a power and finesse move above 70, which I don't think many of them do. We're gonna look into stats here in a second. They're gonna get a big fatigue hit. This is actually one of the first times I've ever seen fatigue on defense addressed. We all the time see running backs get fatigued. We see wide receivers get fatigued. We see quarterbacks get fatigued. You never really see defenders get fatigued to a point where it's noticeable. And this could be interesting. So there are a few questions I have with this as we go over here. I'm just gonna put in whoops, boom, boom. We're gonna go over here and just kind of look at some of these guys, how big they are. I'm curious if this counts for sub linebackers. I think that's a huge deal because free safety zone blitz or like the A gap blitzes, those are typically done with a sub linebacker. Not always, but a lot of times they are. If that applies to them or if it only applies to people literally playing a DB position, I don't know. But now let's take a look at Kirby Joseph. And I want to see immediately what is his weight. We see on the right side, he has 203 pounds. Okay. So that means for this to apply to Kirby Joseph, the defender or the offensive tackle needs to be 293 pounds at the very least. And does Kirby Jones have, let's see, what is Kirby Jones? How do we see all of his stats? What is his finesse move and all right, his finesse move 36, his power move super low too, I'm sure. And I'm sure this is probably the same thing with all of the DBs. So let's look at how much the typical left or right tackle weighs, because that's who he's going to get lined up against. So let's go to John Runyon here. He is 330. Okay, he definitely hits that. Is everybody here probably going to be 320? Yep, everyone's going to be over 300 something pounds, probably 300. Weight, actually, if this is a big deal, weight at the tackle positions will play a little bit better of a factor, but it looks like everybody's going to be pretty heavy for the most part with someone like Kirby Joseph. Let's see, how about him? Okay, so Champ Bailey's 192. Jalen is 195, 197. We have safety Bo Jackson's 227. Some of these safeties and dudes might play a bigger factor. Especially, so we have like Bo Jackson. You would need someone who's 315 pounds for this to apply to him. Interesting. So this could potentially also change who you're blitzing, because let's just go to all safeties. Safeties are typically a little bit heavier. Let's go to Kyle Hamilton. How much does Kyle Hamilton weigh? 220. So it needs to be 315 pounds for it to apply to Kyle Hamilton. Jack Tatum, 200. Okay. So weight and personnel could actually matter a little bit more right now if this works as it's described. I need to see what the actual fatigue hit is. Again, Sean Taylor, 220. That means the offensive tackle needs to be 315. What this doesn't say, what this would apply to, is that this mentions that if a defender who is not a dedicated pass rusher having a power finesse move, yada yada, they blocking mismatch. Where does it say? Yeah, where a DB would get picked up by a tight end or an offensive lineman. Tight ends are not 300 pounds. So I actually don't think this will apply to almost any tight end in the game. I'm sure there's a couple of guys who are out of position here. Taysom Hill, certainly not. He's 221. So this actually won't really apply to any of these dudes. I mean, and I'm just looking, but I'm well aware that none of these guys are. 268 is Gronk. Maybe if there's out of position somebody who I can't think of. Yeah, like Vita Vea. I mean, depending on how big of a difference this makes, Vita Vea at tight end blocking, if that forces them to get out of blitzes because it fatigues the DB and doesn't let him win as much and shedding, and actually fatigues him where he's now worse in coverage and he's slower on blitzes, it's interesting. I think this could potentially be a pretty cool, unique, and just different change that I haven't seen, and could address the dollar meta and like the dime isn't a meta right now, but like dollar and dime defenses, or potentially, depending on how big this goes into, this could potentially affect some of the A-gap blitzes when you pick them up, if that makes that defender fatigued, or even glitching 4-3 and 3-4 to having cornerbacks at outside linebackers. It really depends on how well of a job EA did with identifying defensive back blitzes and what that means. This is a pretty big, it really could mean a lot of different things. Also, general stability fixes. Cool. Seems like it's a good thing. They are now launching their franchise crossplay live beta. That's pretty cool. This, however, we strongly, okay, so whatever. Cool. Crossplay live beta. Nice. Apparently there's some weird conditions. I don't really care. Madden Ultimate Team, fix a crash that happened if the user clicked the show quick sell button on a locked pack in the new item flow. Okay. Fixed an issue, archive, fixed another issue with leaderboards. We're not updating data. They need to get data into whatever. Or they need to get leaderboards into all Madden. I can't believe this has not been done yet. Very upsetting. Fixed an issue with the wrong players being used in MUT practice mode. I think that was an issue with the Bears playbook, if I'm not mistaken. Corrected various visual bugs and text overlaps. This is like day one stuff. Improved performance of many UI transitions. Cool. And then apparently they updated some Superstar stuff. Who cares? UI stuff. Who cares? And then Season 4 stuff, which we've talked a lot about. Make sure you guys do watch the MCS stuff going on tonight. You can get a 92 overall Jonathan Taylor. Okay, actually, is that, you know what? Is that really all you get with discounted running back apprentice? I mean, I don't know the stats on this card, but this seems like he might suck. The other MCS cards are pretty good, weren't they? What? Yeah, they definitely were. Why is this the card? Whatever. Boys, let's hit 20K subscribers. I really do need your help on that, and I appreciate it a ton. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you do subscribe and check out Civil GG, linked in the description below for schemes, ebooks, all that good stuff on how to get better at John Madden football and to attack season 4 on the right foot.